I'm Dana Denha, and you're watching FYI. Finding grown-up friendships and hobbies can be a hard task to achieve, but there is a membership-based club right in our area to build relationships and learn about new passions. The Ann Arbor City Club is even offering a special discount during the city's bicentennial year.
We are having a spring open house for the Ann Arbor City Club. We are offering 50% off our annual membership dues in honor of the Ann Arbor Bicentennial.
There are a lot of activities at the club, and it's just a great place to meet people and develop friendships.
It gets people out of the house, into the building, socialize with their neighbors and other community members. We're also a nonprofit organization, so we support other nonprofits.
There's pretty much something for everybody here. We have lunch and learns and dine and discover about once a month. That's where you get a speaker and a meal. We have about 22 interest groups.
It's a good opportunity for people in the Ann Arbor area to learn more about history and enjoy each other. And it's a lot of people from Ann Arbor and the university who come together and socialize together. And also they have the common interest of giving back to the community.
It's a place that many people think is their home away from home.
For more, visit AnnArborCityClub.org. Stay tuned, and we'll be back with more in exactly 30 seconds. People from all over the world find refuge in the United States, but many immigrants can feel like a fish out of water in a land that was said to be created for you and me. Last September, little Amal visited Ann Arbor, spreading the word of acceptance with her larger-than-life presence.
Amal is a 10-year-old Syrian refugee child. Over the last 2 years, she's been walking through the world, looking for her mother and looking for family and a safe place to live.
Her walk across America symbolizes that we're looking to highlight the importance of refugees and immigrants in the United States of America. We're looking to emphasize the importance that we are one human family, that when people come cross borders, that they strengthen us all.
Amal is 12 feet tall because we want the world to grow to match her size in ambition, in bravery, in resilience. She represents unaccompanied refugee children across the world, but also people of all kinds of displacement.
Her presence here in the city of Ann Arbor emphasizes for us, and hopefully for all those who are watching, that immigrants and refugees, they make us stronger. We're stronger together when we welcome people here in the city of Ann Arbor and the United States as a whole.
Walking with Amal means we see her, we hear her story, and we're here to support her.
There are many chances to volunteer in Washtenaw County, but one entity requires the help of environmental stewards. Learn more about the many opportunities with the natural area preservation in this month's City Roundup in 60.
Hi, I'm Tina Stevens, volunteer and outreach coordinator with the City of Ann Arbor's Natural Area Preservation. Our mission is to protect and restore Ann Arbor's natural areas and to foster an environmental ethic within the community. There are many ways that you can volunteer to support the natural areas, including volunteering with our breeding bird survey program, becoming a turtle steward, or taking photos as part of our photo monitoring program. You can even volunteer to join our prescribed burn crew. Most folks volunteer by attending our public work days, which take place nearly every weekend. At these events, we do things like hand pull invasive garlic mustard, cut invasive shrubs, or collect and spread native seeds. To learn more about NAP or how to volunteer with these opportunities, visit www.a2gov.org/NAP.
We are experiencing history at our fingertips as only people alive in 2024 will have the pleasure of celebrating 200 years of Ann Arbor. A2 Smart Tours is honoring the city and its many stories through self-guided smartphone tours of 177 different locales. Joining me is Paul Conway, development member for the A2 Smart Tours. Welcome to the show, Paul.
Thank you for inviting me, Dana.
Can you tell us what the A2 Smart Tours is and why you guys started it?
It's a volunteer group of longtime Ann Arbor residents who were excited about possibilities for celebrating the Ann Arbor Bicentennial, which is a kind of ground up effort anyway. The city was welcomed any and all initiatives. So Norm Tyler, who's a historic preservation consultant and longtime Ann Arbor resident, formed a group of interested people, and we just sort of launched into. The idea was to just sort of put together tours, and we spent about 6 months working on the project.
Yeah, I mean, 177 locations is a lot of locations, and then I assume the smartphone tells you information about each location
Yes.
as you go.
But what we discovered when we first got started was that there were already quite a few tours that existed in various forms. Some were on the web, some were in printed brochures, some were handouts at historical sites. And so we actually didn't have to invent 177 sites and 14 tours. We started by accumulating what was already there. The innovation for us, I think, was to try to do this as a smartphone application, and something really simple that wouldn't require a lot of technical expertise. You just needed a smartphone and to be able to follow the tours.
So it's an app on your phone? Is that how it works, or it's a QR?
It's actually a website. We talked about developing an app, and it's become easier and easier to do. But we thought that not all of the users on the other end would be interested in downloading yet another app to their smartphone. So we did it simply as a series of linked web pages that have a home page, and all of the connections are done from connecting one web page to another. So it's extremely simple and can work on any smartphone, as well as sitting at your desk in your home or your office as well.
Well, that's good to know, because I do think that sometimes people struggle with if they have an iPhone or an Android, and sometimes things work better for different systems. But you guys are saying because it's a website, it's basically those kinks are worked out. Right.
The other important piece of this is the collaboration with the Ann Arbor District Library, which has a robust website and tools that to put together these kinds of linked websites fairly easily. So we forged a partnership with the Ann Arbor District Library, and our job as a committee was largely to structure out the tours, assemble the photographic information for each site, and then write or adapt the text. And then the Ann Arbor District Library, bless their hearts, put it all together.
Yeah, they're a great tool, and I'm sure you were able to find out some knowledge from them as well for these sites as you were going.
Yes, for quite a number of years, the district library has been digitizing local history resources. In fact, they have a whole compartment, a whole space on their website devoted to the resources that they've digitized over time. So we did have some raw material to start with there. The other huge resource was Susan Weinberg's history of Ann Arbor's buildings. A publication. It's actually in its second edition. The first edition, the Ann Arbor District Library has put online. It's the 125 sites, with each site described with a little paragraph. So we had a lot of raw material there, and then Susan was part of our development team. And anytime we said, well, what about site X, she would have something to say about it. So the actual work to put it together was largely the committee sitting around Norm's dining room table talking about all the great historical resources that are the buildings and the resources that are around Ann Arbor.
Paul, tell me a little bit about yourself. How did you end up on the committee? How long have you been in Ann Arbor? Are you a townie?
Well, I don't know if 17 years counts as a townie. Probably not.
Believe me, I've had the same conversation. My husband was born here, and I've lived here for 15 years, and I'm like, I will never be a townie because I wasn't born here.
That's right. Yeah, you can still love the place, but you're not branded as a townie. So I've recently retired from the University of Michigan School of Information as a professor, and my area of research and teaching was in archives, digital preservation, and other related cultural heritage topics. So I had a natural interest in pushing out and promoting the history of the place using original resources, photographs and documents. So that was and I love celebrations. So a bicentennial was a really big deal. And so I thought, well, when someone said, would you like to get involved? I said, sure. And then the other piece that I brought to the table was involvement with the University of Michigan's Bicentennial, which was in 2017. So 7 years ago. For the School of Information, I led a team that put another cell phone application together for the history of the University of Michigan. And I had some experience sort of thinking through what it would take to do a good cell phone application. In the end, we simplified for the reasons I said at the beginning. We didn't want to make the actual application too complicated. So we did a much simpler version, but I did have some experience thinking through how you do a site-by-site tour for the University of Michigan.
Well, it sounds like that this committee was the perfect spot for you because you've basically done it before. You're probably better at it the second time around.
Yes, although the whole townie thing is really interesting, Dana. The majority of the members of this committee, it was wonderful. I didn't know any of them personally until we started working on the project, but they're so committed to preserving the built environment, historic preservation, or just being careful about tearing something down before you realize that there might be memories, or it might mean something to people to leave something in place. So I got a really interesting dose of just like the heritage of Ann Arbor and its long history, some of which has disappeared. We spent a lot of time deciding to focus the tours on sites that still existed, even though there's a lot of information about wonderful buildings and places and communities that have sort of disappeared over time. So we didn't do that, but that would be a whole nother tour.
Oh, completely. You know, what's funny that this townie talk that we're having, because when my husband just loves to drive the family around town. And because he's lived here for 48 years, he's like, oh, this used to be this and this used to be that. And I feel like people are really invested in Ann Arbor's history. Like I came from a different city and I don't remember people talking as much about the history of the city and how important it is. And we have multiple people that find different things that they want to write the history about of Ann Arbor. We have all these
Right,
local books about Ann Arbor,
right,
which I find to be amazing that people love
yes,
this area so much.
right. And you can do with all those books that are in the bookstores and even at CVS and other places, you can pick up these. You could start anywhere. You could be a kid in sixth grade and say, I just want to know one thing that's of interest. So we thought that the tours, these cell phone tours, might be a way for people to get their feet wet. It's not real deep, but it's pretty wide. And so we thought, well, all we really wanted to do is stimulate interest at all ages or with families coming together. You have a Saturday afternoon and you want to take a walk. Um, the idea was just to be able to get your feet wet and go from there.
Yeah. I love that about it because that is like, it's a beautiful Saturday. You're like, hey, let's
Yes,
go downtown, let's walk around.
right,
And then you're like, hey, let's get out our smartphones and find out some stuff about the city. How fun
right.
is that?
About half, there's 14 tours plus a scavenger hunt. And the scavenger hunt is just photographs where the idea is to find the item and check it off on a checklist. But of the 14 tours, about half of them are easily walkable. And then about 10 of the 14 you could do through some combination of walking and biking. And then the other 4 or 5 really you probably want to drive. Um, uh, and there's a couple of the walking tours that it's crazy to drive because it's just 4 blocks. You'd miss something there. But the idea was to be able to give people options, and each tour at the introduction says what the optimal way is to do it. So you can click into a tour and it'll say this is best done on a bicycle, or this one is best done walking starting here, and they tell you what to do.
So what is the website? Because you go to the website and then there's the 14 different tours to choose from, right?
Yes, the website is either linked off of. The best way to get to it is to search for A2 Smart Tours. And when you do that through a web browser, it's the first or second hit that comes up. And you go to a home page with a little bit of an introduction, and then there's a list of the 14 tours. And when you click on one of the tours, the first page of the tour gives you an introduction to what you'll see and also whether you should walk or bike or drive. And in some cases, it says where to start because there's an obvious place to start. And then each tour, each site has a photograph and a little bit of text. And the text was written so when you're standing there or staring out of your back of your car, the text tells you what you're looking at. And because in most cases you don't go, the tour is designed to appreciate Ann Arbor's history from the outside looking in. In other words, a lot of these buildings are private residences, or it's a church, or a building that you don't have to appreciate by going inside. So it's not really an architectural tour. It's designed to tell us, each tour tells a little story. For example, there's the Underground Railroad tour, which is a simplified version of a much more elaborate walking driving tour of the contributions that Ann Arbor made to helping enslaved individuals escape from the South and get to Canada in most cases. So Ann Arbor was a very important stop on the Underground Railroad. So the tour is just designed to whet your appetite. And then if you really want to know more, there's books and websites and longer tours that you can take. So for many of these, there's much more you can do once you've done the 8 or 10 or 12 individual sites.
Do you have a favorite tour?
Well, I like the State Street tour, which starts at Huron and basically goes to the Gandhi Dancer. You can bike it or walk it, but there were so many surprises. Even though I've lived in Ann Arbor for 14, 17 years, almost everything on that State Street tour was like, oh, I didn't know that, because you would never know driving by it every day that, for instance, there's a house that's now covered in aluminum siding with, and it's occupied by students, but it was the first hospital. The Sisters of Mercy formed it in the 19th century, and it was actually the beginning of what is now St. Joe's Hospital. You would never know that. And so it was just full of surprises. And it only took to walk. It only takes about 20 minutes, and there's just one surprise after another. So I like that one. The other tour that I absolutely love is the river walks, which to do them all, you really need to either drive and stop or bike, dedicate a half a day. But there are 10 sites along the river from Gallup Park all the way up to beyond Barton Pond. Barton, beyond with Argo and the steps along the way. And each one of the stops could be a picnic site, could be a place to sit and enjoy the day. So the natural history of the Huron River is right there for you to see, and the river walks are just beautiful and wonderful.
Do you foresee this continuing after 2024? Because the bicentennial is obviously only this year, but it sounds like something that you could just keep going.
Yes, they're fixed for now. Because at some point you have to say we're done. So, we did enough. But the Ann Arbor District Library is committed to maintaining the 14 sites. And then it maybe when some of the fuss and flurry over the bicentennials died down, that we could build up more of the tours, or build out some of them. Like the Underground Railroad tour really deserves to have its whole site. And there are a couple of books that we drew on that have rich information. So it's possible that some of these tours could become pretty elaborate historical memory sites. And I think the district library would be interested if volunteers stepped up to build them out. I think it will persist for a while.
What a gem the Ann Arbor District Library is. Like, what would we be without them? They're so amazing.
Really, and they've been for decades. They've been ahead of the curve with using technologies and to deliver content, and their use of smart technologies. That they're online, and it's a model for what a local public library can actually do.
Honestly, when I talk to other people about libraries, I don't think any library system gets used more than the Ann Arbor District Library.
Yeah, it's always busy, and the service is great, and the collections just seem to be just right for what people want to do. Some public libraries see themselves as being sort of academic libraries, and they collect and build and long-term resources. Ann Arbor District Library is very clear that what they want is to deliver what people want right now. So this sounds like a commercial for AADL, but they without them, these kinds of celebrations just wouldn't have the same impact on the wider community. So we really are grateful for.
Completely agree. Part of this, when I was reading about it, if you do all the tours and keep track of it, you can actually get like a certificate from the mayor. Yes.
We're anxiously awaiting the first person or family that does that. But there's on the Smart Tour site, you can download a 2-page checklist, or you can print it out double-sided and use it. And as you check them off, if you sign at the bottom and then turn it in to at City Hall, you'll get a certificate signed by the mayor. So it's still early, and the weather hasn't been completely conducive to this, but we're okay. So I wanted to mention that the actual bicentennial day is May 24th.
Hmm.
And so what we're hoping is that sometime around May 24th, that we'll have some people that have completed all of the tours, and maybe we can have a little signing ceremony or something to celebrate that.
Well, you hear that, people. Get those tours and mark them down.
The 14 tours are easy. There's nothing complicated about completing them. The scavenger hunt itself, that doesn't count. You don't have to do the scavenger hunt to get the certificate. It's tricky.
Oh, I bet the scavenger hunts. I feel like I'm terrible at things like that. So
It's like those every month in the Ann Arbor Observer. They have a little snippet of a building and say they want you to identify the building. It was influenced by that, and some of them are very tricky.
oh yeah. But that's a good challenge yourself. Get out there and challenge yourself. And you know, the weather has been unseasonably warm most days for us. So it is a great time to sort of take advantage of it and maybe get those 14 tours done before the actual bicentennial date.
That would be nice.
Yeah.
For people, yeah.
Well, we're almost out of time, but before we go, why don't you tell people why they should do these smart tours and why this is a great way to celebrate 200 years of Ann Arbor?
It's a great way to get outside and wander around, especially the center part of the city. You're guaranteed to learn something new. You're guaranteed to learn something that it might inspire you to learn more as you go along. It's a great family activity. It's just it was designed to be fun and unstressful.
Well, thank you so much, Paul, for telling us about the A2 Smart Tours.
And thank you, Dana, for the opportunity to do that.
Anytime. For more on this and other programs, visit a2gov.org/CTN. Visit youtube.com/CTN Ann Arbor to see all that we have to offer. And remember to like, subscribe, and ring that notification. Thanks for watching, and tune in next time to FYI.